Cheers!
Welcome to Movie Bitches.
We gotta stop this. We have to stop.
Yep, episode 248. Tonight we're reviewing Love, Sarah.
Was it Love, Sarah?
Nope.
Oh, just
and
Love.
That bothered me.
Yeah, it did. That does bother me. Also, the signage. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Thank you.
We can talk about it now, but I was gonna say first things first, but we're not drinking wine today.
No, we're drinking tea.
But
we're
shout
British.
out to my fabulous friend Sarah, who makes this mug. I'll put her Instagram right here.
Yeah.
She's fabulous.
Yeah.
It's great.
Really fab.
People were asking.
Yeah.
There you go.
Second.
Second.
Shout out to our Patreon supporters. $5 a month gets you early access. $10 gets you access to our viewing parties. Oh boy. So, okay. Let's talk about this movie.
This was perfectly fine.
Yes.
I watched it with my parents. They both were like, that was nice. And I was like, that was nice. How nice was that? I'm never going to remember this movie ever again or really think about it. But we're going to talk about it for a minute. And you can watch it with your family or by yourself, whatever works. It was nice.
Okay, so Love, Sarah came across our inbox and we said Celia Imrie in a sweet British, comedy.
Well, the
sorts.
poster made it seem a lot more like, this is what they wanted, a lot more Best Exotic Marigold,
Marigold Hotel.
Oh, this fabulous cunt is opening a bakery with her, granddaughter, and they're gonna, it's gonna be food porn and montages. That is what I expected.
Now it was a little food porn. They had
porny.
that special thanks to Ottolenghi. Did you see that?
No, what's that?
Ottolenghi is a pastry chef who's world renowned as oh shit.
Oh, that's so fab. Yeah, well, so this.
I think that's why they looked so. I mean, the food did look amazing.
The food looked amazing. There was no montages, and they could have used one, and I was disappointed. It could have used a montage or two or three. Let's be real.
Yes.
They must have, because it was directed by a woman, Eliza Schroeder. So yes, fabulous. And the production or something must be connected to the baking world, because the woman who played Sarah.
Yeah.
Was Candace Brown from Great Fish Bake Off.
Yeah. Loved that.
I was like, well, that's a fun little Easter egg, because you really don't see her face particularly.
No, not really.
It's like one in a reflection.
At the beginning when she's biking, we were like, wait a second, she looks familiar. And then there was a special thanks, and I was or whatever, she got billed, and I was like, oh my God, of course.
Oh my God, of course.
I was hoping that this movie was going to be a little bit more finding your feet.
Yeah.
You remember that really cute one?
Loved that.
And this one, nice enough, but not at the same level. If I saw this on Netflix or whatever, I'd be like, oh, that was a nice, cute little time, an hour and a half, or maybe a little too long.
Well,
that.
It was slow. It took a while to get going. It didn't handle time or the passage of it or the explaining of it well.
Very well. This was, I think, her first feature film. And I think for me it showed.
Sure.
Because there was a lot of directorial choices that I didn't agree with, or even if I know that they were choices. And
I just think potentially with a jazzier, not literally jazzier, but a jazzed up soundtrack and a editor that knows their way around a montage, this movie could be really fucking cute.
Yes.
It was just... It felt very personal. It felt very we needed to get into the grief. And I was like, I'm okay. Let's get into the bakery.
Well, sure. I don't even mind that. I think for me, so I guess spoiler alert.
There's no spoilers.
Not really. The plot is that Celia Imrie's daughter tragically dies right before she could open up her long-dreamed bakery with her best friend, who the best friend kind of reminded me of Vanessa Hudgens.
Really?
As the baker and the Princess Switch, there was that weird kind of vibe.
Not the acting or the look.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Well, the look a little.
Well, she had the dark hair. Yeah, there was sort of
Yeah.
a sense of I'm not a good baker. What are you talking about? Okay, I can do anything in all of it.
That's what I think. The writing maybe was the biggest problem, because there were so many scenes where I was like, if we had condensed this, then you could have told more of the story in a shorter passage of time, and like multiple aspects of these subplots in one scene. Instead, it was like, this scene's going to tell you about this no reservations romance subplot. And this scene is now going to tell you about the weird inventor.
Now, I mean, honestly, all of that was nonsense. There was a lot of like, oh, did you think that you would be watching this movie and they would go to a trapeze class?
But then it disappeared.
It was fabulous. I was like, get it, bitch. Yes, Celia Imrie, you get up on that swing. Never came up again. We never found out anything about it. I guess she was a famous trapeze artist. And that was all we needed to know. And maybe that was like generational because then her granddaughter is a ballet dancer. But like, it was gone.
Right.
It was gone.
Right.
Then
gone.
Celia Imrie's love interest, Guy, who I found it really confusing why he was in their photo shoot for that magazine. Just putting it out there.
Thank you. I was
like, why is he here?
He did nothing.
He was, what? Oh, I invited a friend to be in our, no, absolutely not. He seems insane. Like, he seems like a crazy person. And he's like living in
He seemed like he was out of The Good Liar.
Yeah, he's like living in a old library or something. And he's like, well, I've invented the best infrared security system that no one knows about yet. And that was all we heard about it. Then it was it.
Came into
he
play.
Was like, I think he was kind of setting it up at the bakery at some point, but it literally was just like, oh, and then never mind. So there was a lot of side plot.
Yeah. He was the one that inspired the travel. Oh, I guess my daughter did like to travel. So now I'm just gonna. So basically.
Well, oh boy. Yeah. Okay. So it's the best friend of the woman who died. The woman who died's daughter and grandmother, and they all decide they're gonna get together, even though at this point in the movie, we don't know that any of them can bake at all. So I'm like, why would you start a bakery? I thought, oh, the daughter's going to be like, well, mom taught me everything, I guess.
I thought so too, right? Oh, well, now she has to come in and bake. But no, that didn't happen.
Not the case. I found mom's secret recipes. Nope.
What they really needed was a scene at the very beginning, like after she's died.
Yeah.
Right? And then she's at the bank or whatever, and she's like, what do you mean? I can't get out of this lease because of reasons. And I haven't put any money into it yet already, and there's literally nothing's happened, but whatever.
It was an empty lot full of shutters that they then used as decor, and I found that to be confusing. It's like,
I did too.
Is it just because they were around? It came pre-distressed. We better use them. Confused. There was just choices made where I was like, huh, okay. That was, also... I mean, it was like, we're all over the place, but who cares? So it starts, and Celia Imrie is like, oh, daughter, I'm writing you this letter, this card. I'm so sorry we haven't talked. I apologize. I've been stubborn, blah, 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 blah. And then the daughter dies before she can receive the letter. And so I thought for, I don't know, 2/3 of the movie, I was like, ooh, something really bad happened. Oh my, like she wanted her to give up her daughter 20 years ago. They haven't spoken in 2 decades.
Some drama,
oh, the best friend and her were lovers. I thought that they were going to be lesbian. No. And the mom didn't accept them and they haven't talked. It seemed like they hadn't talked for like a couple months tops.
Right.
Because she wouldn't give her money and support her in the bakery. That was the big, that we waited the whole movie to discover.
The whole movie.
I wouldn't lend you money like 3 months ago.
Right.
And it just was like undercut by how much it had been built up. And the daughter is like, I just wish I knew what happened between you guys. And it seemed like, or the granddaughter, I just wish I knew you would tell me. And the granddaughter, it seemed like hadn't seen her grandmother in decades or like something. Right. So I was like, oh, she doesn't even know her granddaughter. I thought it was going to be a story about them growing together. Not really.
No.
Oh, it's also a story of the egotistical male baker guy who was there, who wasn't her dad.
Well, right, because he thought that he was the granddaughter's father, but was in fact not, it turned out. So there was like that kind of weird storyline that then just ended up not being anything. I guess they decided to be like chosen family, and that was sweet.
But they didn't even
But
really...
he did seem kind of like an asshole.
They didn't like sell that. Like they're sitting there waiting for the paternity results and they're having kind of this awkward conversation. Then the doctor's just like, it's a no. And they just sit there like, oh. And then it's never talked about again.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be like, I want to be in your life no matter what. And she was going to be like,
Well, he did kind of
okay,
say
bro.
that. He was like, before they got the results, he's like, even if it's a no, I want to be there like a father figure for you or whatever.
She didn't seem that into it. Also,
I mean,
the granddaughter could be a young Nicole Kidman. Just this doll face with the big curly hair.
There were a few things that held this movie back. Like the directing, I think, the beginning scene was so transparent of like, oh,
she's going to get hit
hurried
by a
on
bike.
her bike.
She's not wearing a
She's
helmet.
going to die on her bike. Yeah, like.
I just kept being like, she's not wearing a helmet. She's not wearing a helmet. She's going to get run over. Oh my God, she's not wearing a helmet.
But so yes, like it was just kind of, a lot of it was heavy-handed.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of multiple subplots that just either started and never went anywhere.
Right.
Like again, I would have loved for the grandmother and to be reinvigorated into performing again or teaching people how, like clearly that teacher was apparently unqualified.
Right.
In the trapeze class.
And
she's like,
Celia
no,
Imrie
this is how you
a
do
bitch.
it.
Like, so that was
Right.
fab.
Wow, she was a fabulous bitch.
Oh,
but
of course.
yes.
She was like, bitch, what are you doing? This is how you do trapeze. Hello.
Yeah. Right. So I was like, oh, great. So now she's going to teach these classes at this school.
It just seemed like they were all out of guilt. Like, we have to make this bakery work. And it just didn't ever like transcend into like, oh, but we love it because X, Y, and Z. Now, I did love that Celia Imrie was invigorated by the bakery. Like, that's kind of where it went. And I love that she was like, yeah, bitch, I'm going to scrub toilets and mop these floors. Yes. Like, I'm into it.
Yes.
The main plot is cute, but also slightly yikesy. Well, that was a montage when they go, okay, so the infrared security boyfriend guy is like, there's 3 different bakeries within a 2-minute walk from here. What's so special about your bakery? Celia Imrie then decides and discovers that, well, London is a melting pot. And so she keeps just asking random people of color who come into her cafe, where are you from? And then berates them into seemingly telling their culture and their family recipes. Like, it was like, please, might we steal your culture for our British bakery? It was like, I know that wasn't the intent. It was just a little weird.
Yeah, it was definitely a little cultural appropriation-y where it was like, I like the idea of like, oh, well, she can apparently bake anything, and isn't that nice to have everyone have a sense of home?
Of course.
At this bakery.
And the intent
Lovely
was
idea.
like mostly just that. And there was no nefarious things going on. But when they just started like interviewing random people of color and saying, tell me what your favorite dessert recipe is from your childhood. Give me your culture.
Where are you from? Yeah, it was like
Tokyo. Then your favorite one must be this. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, oh, right. So, okay, just to go back to how I would want to fix it.
Yes.
The whole thing really fell apart for me because the main girl, the best friend.
Okay, I was like, you're going to have to be more specific.
Yeah, narrow it down. Yeah. The best friend was like, oh, there's no way to run this bakery now. She was the baker and I'm just the business person and there's no way to ever make this bakery happen ever in the entire world. There's no way. I think it should have just been that they were a baking pair.
Yeah.
And she was so grief-stricken and like distraught over the fact that her best friend just died in a tragic bicycling accident and was like, I can't run this bakery. This was our thing. And like, she was a baker with me and like, I don't want to do it without her and I don't know what to do. And then they become closer with the family.
The granddaughter comes in, motivates her. And then
and they all
the
process
friend
their grief.
Can teach the granddaughter how to bake.
Love it.
Would have been great.
Right? Yeah, and there was, all of that was kind of there, but it just wasn't set up properly, that it was not a well-told story. And so it was nice, but there was like, oh, this could have just been a few things here and there would have made it a lot better.
Well, honestly, if you make the best friend and her lovers, it's even better because then it's like, oh, like not only is my business now destroyed, but like the love of my life has died and I don't know what to do and oh my God and blah, blah, blah. Even better. And then we can get rid of chauvinistic...
of course, yes.
Who can just... I feel like baking and cooking on a professional level are 2 separate things.
Yeah.
And...
Yeah. He's like a Michelin star chef. But not a pastry chef, right? They didn't say he was a pastry chef at that Michelin star restaurant.
And then he's like, oh, but I can just make whatever. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I can make anything.
Can we talk about the signage? It was impossible to read. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Impossible to read.
It was like dark gray with then really thin... dark red lettering that said Love Sarah.
Love Sarah.
I was just like, this is awful signage. That's why you don't have any customers.
Well, right. But also the name never, well, you didn't know it was a bakery. You didn't know it, but also the name didn't make any sense to me still in the end. It's not like we were ever told like, oh, she would always sign her letters or she would always deliver a little,
I guess it was like,
bakery gift
love
basket to someone and
Sarah?
say, love Sarah.
We love
They
Sarah.
love Sarah.
It should have been capped on each end with a letter from Sarah to her daughter or her mom, something about, or her diary. Oh,
love Sarah. No, I'm telling you, she should have dropped off cookies or something. Hope these bring a bright smile to your day. Hope these make you feel like you're at home. Love Sarah.
Because
right?
They rebranded Around the World in 80 Days. And they were like, now we have a hot air balloon. Oh my God, we're blowing up. Everyone wants to come to this bakery. Like before, so they've like, no business, no business, no business. And I just kept being like, why isn't this granddaughter on Instagram? What's happening? Why aren't they doing this? Show me that they're trying to promote it. They just seem to be sitting around. What's going on? Well, also, I like that they were like, we don't want any of your fancy French pastries because that's not cultural enough. Like, it was like, you're only making traditional French pastries. We want stuff from Lebanon, which I get is like less popular, but it was just like didn't address at all that those are also from places. What?
I think they're saying that those are more typical, right?
Of course.
When you think of pastries at a bakery, it's usually French.
It was just like, oh, we just have to make this many croissants.
I know. I do. That baklava looked, all of the food did really look spectacular.
The food looked so good. I wanted to make all of it. It was so delicious. I was into it. This movie actually was cute, even though we're nitpicking. And it was just a little slow, could have used a little bit more, like it needed, if it was going to start at such a sad place, like, oh fuck, this chick died and everyone's devastated. It needed to like have some forward momentum of we're going into this baking competition or we got to make this something and then montage, fun song, oh, we're doing it. Oh my God, I got flour on my nose. Just like,
Yep.
A little bit.
If the best friend had just been like, I'm a baker, but I can't bake without my best friend and baking and possibly loving partner.
Sure. Yeah, because we did not find out that she even went to culinary school until like an hour in. And there was no real explanation other than her lack of confidence. It wasn't like, oh, well, this happened.
She needed a man to show her how to be confident.
It was a little gross. I did think it was so weird. There was this one throwaway line where the guy and the best friend are upstairs in the bakery. And they kind of rush in to be like, oh, we got the interview for that magazine or something. Oh, they went to tell them something.
Yeah.
And they were obviously, I think, just improvising, like, oh, just to like act like you're chatting and then we'll interrupt you. And the guy said, oh, tough turf. Robert Downey Jr., you haven't seen it? It's this totally random 80s, like, terrible movie with James Spader, and of course I've seen it, and Robert Downey Jr., and I was just like, of all the things, of all of the things, I was like, did he just fucking name drop Tough Turf? Very intrigued. Sir, bring more of this to the table. What are you talking about? It just really stood out to me. What? Yeah, so it's a soft recommend. If you need a nice ish movie to watch that is just pleasant and there's food porn and it might inspire you to bake and Celia Imrie and she's on a trapeze for too short of a time, then like go for it. It's just like nice. It just but there was weird choices where you kind of went, huh?
Yeah, it's not a perfect film by any means, but it's not a bad one.
No.
There you go. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers to Celia Imrie.
Yes.